I'm Nnamdi Kanu, and you can't convict me without a written law, he said. You cannot jail me. This statement was made in the courtroom by Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, during his ongoing trial in Nigeria. His words sent a wave of shock through the courtroom, and the implications of what he said are much bigger than just one person's trial. The case of Nnamdi Kanu isn't just about a separatist leader or a controversial figure. It's about the legal framework that governs the entire nation and the very foundation of justice itself. As many of you may know, Nnamdi Kanu has been facing serious charges of terrorism and treasonable felony, but he is adamant that these charges do not hold water. He says the charges against him are invalid because, according to him, the law under which he is being charged has been repealed or was never properly enacted. In a legal system where the rule of law should be sacrosanct, Kanu's claim raises questions about the very laws that govern the country. Kanu's words are not just a defiant statement against his trial, but a deeper commentary on how laws are applied or not applied in Nigeria. When he says, "You cannot convict me without a written law," he is referring to the legal principle that no one can be convicted of a crime unless that crime is clearly defined by law at the time it is committed. Now, why does Kanu think he can get away with this? Is he right in saying that the charges against him should be thrown out? According to Nigeria's constitution, specifically section 36-12, no one can be convicted of an offense unless it is defined by a law that was in place at the time the offense was committed. This means that if the law under which Kanu is being prosecuted is no longer in effect or never existed in the first place, then it would be impossible for him to be legally convicted. This is the crux of his argument. He is essentially challenging the legal basis for his entire trial. He is calling on the court to dismiss the case, saying that there is no valid charge against him. To Kanu, the law is the law, and without it, there can be no trial. This is not the first time Kanu has challenged the legal proceedings against him. His legal team has previously argued that his arrest and detention were illegal, that he was renditioned illegally from Kenya, and that his rights have been grossly violated. And now, he is making the argument that there is no charge against him that can stand because the law under which he is being tried is either no longer in effect or was never properly passed in the first place. This is a bold move. But the big question here is whether Kanu's defense will stand in the court of law. The trial is not just about Kanu's personal freedom. It has broader implications for Nigeria's legal system. If Kanu's defense holds, it could set a dangerous precedent. It could mean that anyone facing serious charges could simply claim that the law they are charged under doesn't exist or has been repealed, and demand that their case be thrown out. This could lead to an erosion of the power of the state to prosecute those who break the law. On the other hand, if the court rules against Kanu and upholds the charges against him, it could reinforce the idea that the state can charge people with serious offenses under laws that are not necessarily clear or well defined. Either way, this case is setting the stage for a major legal showdown. But it's not just the legal questions that are making this case so compelling. It's the political context surrounding Kanu's trial. Kanu is a highly polarizing figure in Nigeria. He is the leader of IPOB, an organization that has called for the secession of the southeastern region of Nigeria and the establishment of an independent state of Biafra. IPOB's activities have led to violent clashes with Nigerian security forces, and Kanu's arrest and subsequent trial have sparked protests and violence in some parts of the country. To many, Kanu represents the fight for self-determination and justice for the Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria, who feel marginalized by the federal government. To others, Kanu is seen as a separatist who is threatening the unity of the nation and promoting violence. Kanu's case has divided public opinion in Nigeria. His supporters see him as a political prisoner, someone who is being persecuted for his beliefs. They argue that his arrest and trial are part of a larger pattern of human rights abuses by the Nigerian government. They see Kanu as a symbol of resistance against a government that they feel is corrupt and unjust. His critics, on the other hand, see him as a dangerous extremist who is promoting division and violence in the country. They argue that Kanu's actions and the actions of IPOB have led to unnecessary bloodshed and instability in the southeastern region. Now let's talk about the implications of Kanu's defiant statement in court. By refusing to open his defense and claiming that the charges against him are invalid, Kanu is essentially testing the limits of the Nigerian justice system. If the court allows him to get away with this, it could set a dangerous precedent for future trials. If the court doesn't allow him to go free, it could lead to a backlash from his supporters, who may view the trial as unfair and politically motivated. Either way, the government is in a tough position. If the court rules in Kanu's favor, it could embolden other separatists and political activists to challenge the legal system in similar ways. If the court rules against him, it could lead to protests and unrest, both in Nigeria and internationally. What's even more interesting is the international dimension of this case. Kanu has supporters outside of Nigeria, particularly in the diaspora. His arrest and trial have drawn the attention of human rights organizations and foreign governments, particularly those who are concerned about the treatment of political prisoners and human rights violations in Nigeria. Kanu's legal team, which includes a US-based lawyer, has even argued that his rendition from Kenya was illegal under international law and that Nigeria should not benefit from this wrongdoing. Kanu's case has become a flashpoint for discussions about human rights, democracy, and justice in Africa. It's also a reminder of the complex relationships between African governments and the international community, especially when it comes to issues of human rights and political freedoms. Now, we must turn our attention to the future. The court has given Kanu a final chance to open his defense. If he refuses, the court may proceed to judgment without him. The judge has been clear that Kanu cannot hold up the trial indefinitely. However, this doesn't mean that Kanu is without recourse. If the court proceeds with a verdict in his absence, his legal team could appeal the decision, taking the case to higher courts. And even if Kanu is convicted, there will still be a long legal process ahead of him, filled with appeals and further challenges. For those of you following this case, you need to keep an eye on the upcoming court proceedings. Will Kanu open his defense? Will the court rule in his favor or against him? And what will be the political and social consequences of whatever decision the court makes? These are questions that could shape the future of Nigeria's legal system and political landscape for years to come. As we keep following this case, it's important to remember how it highlights the tension between the power of the state and individual freedoms. Kanu's argument, while bold, isn't just about him avoiding jail. It speaks to the broader question of whether a state can impose laws that seem vague or unenforceable. If Kanu's claim about the law's validity is upheld, it could spark a larger conversation about the quality and clarity of laws across Nigeria. The question of whether laws are effectively serving the people or simply being used as instruments of political power is a big one, and it's one that could have serious ramifications, not just for Kanu, but for the entire nation. But it's not just the legal implications that make this case so captivating. The political and social fallout is enormous. Kanu's supporters have long argued that the Nigerian government has been using the law as a tool of oppression, particularly targeting those who speak out against the government or call for regional autonomy. Whether or not you agree with Kanu's separatist ideology, there is no denying that his case has brought issues of political freedoms, self-determination, and human rights into the limelight. As Kanu continues to fight his charges in court, his supporters view him as a symbol of resistance against a government that they believe has failed them. For them, the outcome of this case isn't just about Kanu's freedom, it's about the broader fight for justice and fairness. On the flip side, those who oppose Kanu argue that his actions have only fueled violence and instability in the southeastern part of the country. For them, Kanu is not a political prisoner, but a criminal who is using his platform to incite division and unrest. The IPOB movement, which Kanu leads, has been blamed for several violent attacks and has been designated as a terrorist organization by the Nigerian government. From this perspective, Kanu's refusal to defend himself in court isn't about upholding justice. is about avoiding accountability for his actions. So, where does this leave us? We are at a crossroads where law, politics, and society intersect in a way that is bound to have a lasting impact on the country. The judge's decision to give Kanu one final opportunity to present his defense is crucial. If Kanu refuses again, it could mark the beginning of the end of his legal battle, but it could also deepen the divide between his supporters and the government. The legal system in Nigeria will be under intense scrutiny. Whatever the outcome, it will be a defining moment for the rule of law in the country. As we wait for the next court hearing, I want to remind you to stay updated on this case. It's not just about one man, but about the integrity of the entire legal system and the future of Nigeria. I'll continue to follow this story and bring you all the latest developments. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with anyone who needs to understand the stakes of this case. The outcome could change the course of Nigerian history, and we're all watching it unfold in real time. Keep your eyes peeled for more updates as the situation develops. Thank you for sticking with me through this complex story. This case is just one of many that will shape Nigeria's future. And I'll be here, bringing you the information and analysis you need to understand what's really happening.